Hi there, we're going to do a tutorial regarding layering and the use of registration marks. We're also going to cover a couple of things along the way, but let's get straight into it. So we've got some text on the middle of our page ready to cut. We've used the word balloons. It's a handy little word. And what we need to do is we're going to create an outline because we want to do this in two colors. Perhaps a white background with some red text in front or whatever. We just use it in two different layers. So we need to create an extra layer. So what we need to do is first of all grab hold of our balloons and we need to create an outline. So over here on the right hand side I'm picking up our star tool, which is the outline tool or the offset tool. And what I need to do is click the offset and I can change the distance here. At the moment it's 0.2 centimeters. With also a rounded corner. We generally use a rounded corner unless we're doing very angular designs such as squares, rectangles and such. But if I increase there, so you can see our offset goes right up, but I can do it exact by changing it back down to 0.2 and we'll apply that. And you can see there it's created an offset, but it's also separated. The offset itself is each individual. Now at the moment it is actually grouped in itself. So what I want to do is I want to change our offset into a different color. So I go to our line tool and I pick up our line color and I'm going to change it to blue so that you can see it. It's very obviously blue. Now what I can do is if I click off here, you can see there you've got the red internal text which we originally started with, and you can see we have the blue on the outside as well. Now what I want to do is I want to group just the blue. So over here near the top we can see that there's this palette and it says select by color. Now I'm going to click onto this and I can choose whether to select the red or the blue. Now you can see that the red is together as one group because there's no individual lines around there, but the blue is separate. So first of all what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this together. So I can right click and I can click group, and as you can see it moves it now as a group. So now I have a separate for the text and a separate for the outline. I'm going to use undo. I could do it with edit and undo, or I can see here I'm using Command Z and Command Z to bring it back to balloons with an outline. Because I'm going to be using this as a text, I want to group this, the whole thing. So I select the whole thing by just dragging across the whole thing, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to group it again. Now this allows me to grab the whole selection and move it as one. So if I want to move it around about on the page for layout, getting ready to cut or anything, it moves as one group. But if I need to move it separately, I can click the ungroup, and again now it is two separates. So I'm just going to undo that and I'm going to make it, we'll just select the whole thing and I'm going to create a group again. So now we have our outline and we have it in two separate colors. We also need some registration marks. To make a simple registration mark, I'm going to select a rectangle tool and I'm going to make a small rectangle just here, and we're going to select it, and then I need to turn it into a cross. So I use our replicate panel over here and you can see it's a rotate copies, and you can do multiple ones at the same time, but I'm just going to do one, and you can see on here it's replicated and also rotated. I'm going to select the whole thing and I'm going to weld that together to make it into a simple cross. There's some shadows on here and it's just the zoom that we've got it currently at. Don't worry about it. If I move it around you'll see that those disappear. It has nothing to do with the cutting, but now I can resize it to whatever. As long as I grab the corner it will maintain the ratio, and I want it to be a different color. I don't want it to be red, so again we go to our line tool, pick our line color and make it simple. We'll make it black, and then I want a second copy, so I could go to our replicate panel, or I can use Command C or Control C if you're on a PC. So Command C and then Command V, which pastes it. So it's just copying and pasting, and I'm going to put another registration mark. It depends on how you work. Some people like to work with both of them at the top. We find it easy if you do one the bottom corner on one side and one the top corner on the other side. It allows greater lineup for your registration marks. So we have now our registration marks, our text, and also our outline, the offset. So we need to tell the machine which ones to cut, because if we only want to cut the blue outline, it needs to cut the blue outline plus the registration marks. Or if we want to cut the text itself, we need to cut the text plus the registration marks, which allows us to put the whole thing back together. Now we can do this again and again and again and have it multiple layers with lots of different colors, many different colors, depending on how complicated a design you are doing. So we need to go to our send function up here, and we need to tell it, because at the moment it's going to cut everything. You can see there it's highlighted on all of that red, and it's going to cut everything, which is, we don't want this. So we need to go to our line selection, and up here we have our red, we have our blue, and we have our black. And what I need to do is just decide which one we're going to switch off. So if we're going to cut the outline, I need to switch off our text, which is the red, and I switch it off, and you can see there now it's only going to cut the outline text plus the registration marks. If I want to do the text itself, I simply switch off the outline and switch the text back on, and again keeping the registration marks, so it cuts each time. We also need to make sure that our material is correct as well. So for this one, we're going to switch it to vinyl. We tend to use matte, so it's all done, and you can also select it to each one. The new version of the software is it's very powerful in the fact that it allows you to work with different cuttings, with different materials on your lines. So it means that if you're working with, say for instance, we're going to create some cardstock items that then we're going to put the vinyl over the top, or whatever, things like that, we can actually set the material for each color. With also the new machine as well, we can actually change it, because it's capable of carrying two blades at the same time, so we can actually tell it which blade to do it with as well. So it's a very clever system, it's very powerful. But that's about it. We would just click it to send, and we would tell it which ones to cut. Thanks for watching.